on any lay down trees that are in the water. Lay down logs, fallen trees, that type of stuff. And most of the tournaments were won in the extremities. In other words, there's a lot of major creek arms and river arms coming into Lake of the Ozarks. And most of the tournaments that I fished down there in the 90s and the 2000s, it was won by dudes running way up the river, guys going to the back ends of the creeks, throwing spinner baits and throwing jigs and stuff like that around shallow targets. That was the deal. That's how everybody dominated the lake. Guys, now if you do that, you don't have a shot. You probably don't even have a shot at getting a check most of the time. That lake has completely morphed into something that it has become such a heavy local favorite lake that I have never seen any other lake in the country like that. You've got tons of people that live up there, locals that have brush piles planted out all over the lake, and people have always planted brush at Lake of the Ozarks, but now with the cheater box, they're more efficient now than they've ever been with fishing these brush piles. Because in the past, let's say for example, you put a brush pile out on this little secondary point and you lined it up with two houses or something, and you threw a plastic worm over there, and there may or may not be a bass in there. Now these guys pull up to the hundreds and hundreds of boat docks that they have found with either side imaging or they put in there. They scan their cheater box on that brush pile. If they see some fish out there, they start fishing it. If not, they go to the other 500 brush piles they got on the lake. And that's what they do 12 months out of the year. In the wintertime, they'll fish a swim bait and a jerk bait over the top of it. If it's warmer, they'll fish a football head jig, crankbait, or a Texas rig worm. And therefore, it is literally impossible almost. Now, I'm not saying you can't do it. Occasionally, the stars will line up perfect and you can catch them some other way. But basically, you cannot compete, and you can't hardly even make a check at Lake of the Ozarks unless you're fishing like that. And it's really strange because one of the things that I found out about Lake of the Ozarks is there's so many boat docks on Lake of the Ozarks that I think that probably 70% of the bass, 75% of the bass that live on boat docks don't hardly ever see a lure because they live on the part of the dock that is completely inaccessible. Say, for example, if you've got a boat slip there, you've got a boat in it, and then you've got a walkway 30 foot up from the outside of that dock, and you've got this much space between the dock and the boat with chains on it. The bass live underneath those walkways, 30 foot up in there behind that boat. You can't get a lure to them. Now that's probably good for the overall fish population in the lake, but do those fish just live there their entire lives and they're never caught by anybody? Once in a while, one of them might swim out to the end of the dock and get caught if it's there at the right place at the right time. So that's one of the other aspects.